Okay, thank you everybody for joining us. Now that almost everybody has joined, let's actually start. So, as previously advertised, this webinar is on the GE Nav update. My name is Piotr Dolecki, and I am the National Product Manager CCTV at Alarm Corp. Before we get actually into the presentation itself, just a little bit of housekeeping. Now, some of you may have used the GoToWebinar software before. For those of you who haven't, let's just go over a couple of things. You should now all be seeing this toolbar on the right of your screen, and let's just go through some of the details. First of all, note we have the raise hand icon to raise and lower your hand. Can I, just to make sure that everybody can hear me, can you please all click on the icon to raise your hand? Okay, that's great. I can see a few hands going up. Thank you. If you can put them down, that's great. Next, notice the microphone button. You are all currently muted and will be muted for the duration of the presentation. When at the end of the presentation, we'll have time for questions, and I would invite you to actually look at the question tab, type your question in, and when you're ready, just press the send button. It's important that you press the send button, otherwise I won't actually see the question. Okay, with that, let's begin. Today we're looking at GE Nav. Now, some of you may have seen the logo on the left before. That's the logo for the current version of GE Nav, and the logo on the right will be the logo for the new version. Okay. For the benefit of those who are not familiar with GE Nav, let's just do a quick refresher of what GE Nav actually is and what it does. GE Nav is the remote video management software / client software provided by UTC Fire and Security. Now, what can GE Nav do? It can provide live view of multiple cameras and multiple DVRs simultaneously. It can allow you to search and playback multiple cameras and DVRs. You can export, save video and snapshots. You can create folders to logically group DVRs by state, region, and city for a more logical way of presenting the various sites. You can record locally on the fly at the client PC. With GE Nav, you can configure DVRs, you can upgrade DVR firmware, and you can actually schedule these functions. So you can either do it manually, or you can set up a schedule that you want to upgrade a number of DVRs, that you want to extract footage from a number of DVRs. And the main benefit of being able to schedule these things is that you can do it at a time when the network traffic is less busy, for example, at night. Now, there is password protection on GE Nav, and there are definable user rights, so you can limit what certain people can see and what they can't see. Okay, here we have a quick snapshot of the GE interface. You can see on the left of the screen we have the system tree. In the middle of the screen we have our camera viewer. Now, this current screen shows a 9-way view, but with the little select button at the top right hand corner, you can actually select single camera, 4 cameras, 9 cameras, 16 cameras, or in fact certain customizable views. On the right, you've got the collector, which if you click on save video or save any snapshots, all of the items that you've clicked to save will show up here, and then you can either manually export them or schedule an export. At the bottom, we've got our slider screen for simple playback based on time, and you can actually zoom in and zoom out to increase the granularity of how closely you want to select the viewing time. And of course, you can playback, fast forward, frame by frame advance, and record locally. Finally, note here that we have the option to select a high bandwidth or a low bandwidth connection in the case of a DVR being on a remote site with a lower bandwidth DSL connection. Okay, So this gives you a brief overview of the GE Nav interface. Now I said earlier that you can add a folder. In the system tree before, I just had a list of DVRs. Obviously, as the number of DVRs grows in your system, it becomes more important that they are grouped logically so that you can see, for example, New South Wales sites, Victoria sites, and then break it down, for example, eastern suburbs, western suburbs, and so forth. So that just gives you the ability to be a lot more logical in the organization of your sites. Okay. Let's just go over some of the key benefits of GE Nav. GE Nav is very powerful. At the same time, it is quite simple to use. There is minimal training needed. The real strength, however, of GE Nav lies in the fact that it is compatible with all current TruVision DVRs. Now this includes the current TVR10, the TVR30, the TVR40, the TVR60 hybrid, as well as the TVN40 NVR. But GE Nav is also backwards compatible with virtually all GE security DVRs dating back to approximately 2002. So this includes the DVMRE-CT with Wavelet, DVMRE-CT2 with Wavejet, the DVMRE Pros, the store safes, and importantly, for a number of sites currently, the SIMDEC and SIMSAFE family. So because of that, GE Nav is really well suited to legacy sites where you have to support existing DVRs. Which means if you do need to expand the site, you can add another DVR from a newer generation and you can still use the same software to access the DVR. Now GE Nav is license-free and cost-free, so there are no costs, no license dongles or whatsoever. You can install GE Nav on as many computers as you need to. Now, GE Nav can be installed as a single PC workstation, but you can also install it as a client-server installation. So for larger sites where you want a centrally managed database of user rights and access rights, you could actually select the configuration as well. Now, as we mentioned previously, GE Nav works with both high bandwidth connections, as in a local area network, as well as low bandwidth connections for those sites that run DSL or ADSL. Now on the right we see a screen grab of GE Nav, and you can see some of the features that GE Nav allows you to do with the DVRs. That you can, for example, run health diagnostics, you can do disk analysis, you can configure the device, and oops, sorry, too quick, and you can upload the firmware, you can reboot the device remotely, and then of course you can add and delete the device as well. Okay, let's just look at some of the features in a bit more detail. Health diagnostics, you can see here a sample screen. We've looked at a DVR, we've polled it, the device has responded true. It gives you the date and time of the diagnostic. We've got the IP address of the device. It gives us the serial number as well as the firmware version, the device time and date, and it tells us whether the device is healthy, whether the hard disk is in normal status or in abnormal status, what the capacity is, whether any cameras are in video loss, etc. So very powerful. Next, device configuration. A particular strength of GE Nav is the fact that even on a system where you have different DVRs and different generations of DVRs, the configuration screen is presented in a fairly consistent format. So you see a very consistent Windows format with various tabs. So it makes it quite intuitive to be able to go in and configure the devices as needed. Now, in some cases, depending on the device and depending on the change, the device will need to reboot if you make a change. But basically, once you hit OK, that change then gets automatically propagated through to the DVR. Okay, user management. I briefly mentioned earlier that with GE Nav you can set up user rights quite precisely. You can see here on this screen, for example, that we can allow by camera whether we want to allow people to watch live video or watch playback video. So we can set this up by device and by camera. So again, for larger sites with multiple cameras where you may not want particular people to see particular cameras, this is again a very useful feature. So you can restrict live view, you can restrict playback, you can only allow certain people to make changes to the device configuration. And finally, you can set the connection priority. And what that means is if a device supports a limited number of connections and somebody is already connected to a device, if you configure a higher priority connection, then the higher priority connection will automatically disconnect the other person to give you that right. So it's particularly useful where you might have a security manager and a lower grade operator. Okay, that gives us a brief overview of what GE Nav currently does. So now let's look at what are some of the new features in GE Nav version 4. First of all, we will have a detachable viewer for dual monitor systems. Digital zoom on playback. We will have museum search, also known as smart search or motion search. There will be true full screen video. You will be able to save and upload device configuration. You will be able to save and upload the system database. There will be proactive health diagnostics. You will be able to configure sending emails upon device notification. For those devices that support it, GE Nav version 4 will support bidirectional audio. And with the advent of 64-bit operating systems, GE Nav 4 will also fully support Windows 7 64-bit. So now let's look at some of these features in a bit more detail. Okay, first thing to note, GE Nav will be changing its name. The new name will be TruVision Navigator. So it will no longer be called GE Nav. It will be called TruVision Nav or TruVision Navigator. And here you see a screenshot of TruVision Navigator version 4.0. And this is the version that we are predominantly talking about today. As you can see, other than the name change, it looks quite similar to the existing version. Okay. Just to recap, this is the current version. We see that the current version is GE Nav version 3.1. The new version will be TruVision Navigator version 4.0. Okay, some of the features in a bit more detail. We talked about the detachable viewer. The detachable viewer will actually also have support for up to 3 monitors. Now, obviously, this depends on having a suitable PC with the right graphics card and CPU resources to manage 3 monitors. However, if you do have a PC with 3 monitors, you will be able to display up to 75 cameras simultaneously. So that will be 25 cameras per monitor, with up to 3 monitors. And the key benefit of this feature is that you will be able to display more cameras for an enhanced system overview. Now, this will be of most interest to larger sites with more cameras. So we're talking universities, larger shopping centers, and so forth. However, it is quite a powerful function. Okay, next, digital zoom on playback. You will be able to zoom in digitally when playing back video footage. Now, this will be particularly useful with the TVR60 and megapixel camera recordings. And the main benefit of that is that you will be able to see more details than possible previously with normal cameras. And I guess the main thing to be aware of is if you are viewing a 1.3 or even a 2 megapixel camera, the resolution of a 2 megapixel camera actually exceeds the resolution of most computer displays. You know, if you factor in that a 2 megapixel camera runs at 1600 by 1200 pixels in its native resolution, and that a most computer displays run at 1024 by 768 or thereabouts, I hope that makes it clear why being able to digitally zoom in on playback with megapixel cameras is such a useful feature. Okay, museum search. This is also known as smart search or motion search. Now, this will allow you to search for scene changes, object moved, or a new object. Now, this works on scene change. It is not yet a true video analytics function. However, the way this will work is you will be able to define a region of interest, as we see here in this sample illustration. And we will be able to specify a time and date range plus the camera and go and perform the search. So typical applications for this function: when was the pallet delivered to the warehouse? When did the car leave its parking bay? When did the emergency door open? And in a retail application, for example, when was the last time somebody was at a particular display? Or if something got stolen, for example, when did that laptop move from a counter? Now be aware, museum search at the moment is designed for use with fixed cameras. The key benefit of this function is that you will be able to perform better, more targeted searching. So instead of having to just specify a time and date, you will actually be able to zero in. I know something happened on this day between 12 and 1. I know it happened in this spot. Let's select the area and hit search. So very, very powerful feature. Okay, enhanced full screen display. Again, this will be of most benefit with high resolution cameras, but you will be able to see full screen display without borders as shown in this sample screen here. Okay, saving and uploading of device configuration. This is an enhancement to the existing functionality which allows you to configure the device. You will be able to save the device configuration to a file on the GE Nav or TruVision Navigator PC. You will be able to upload a previously stored configuration file to a device in the field. And you will be able to save the configuration file to a USB stick for an upload to a device in the field using the device's own on-screen menu. Now the key benefits of this functionality: if a device has failed on site and you've got a replacement device and you want to get it up and running fairly quickly with the same configuration, this will allow you to do that. You will simply be able to get the device online, so just program the device's IP address and then quickly upload the configuration. So this will save a lot of time versus having to manually go in and configure all of the settings. The second benefit is if you need to clone multiple DVRs for a multiple site rollout. For example, you're dealing with a number of chain stores or a number of petrol stations and you want a standardized configuration. This will allow you to do that. Really the only thing you will need to do manually at each device is change the device's IP address. So key benefit, this will save a lot of time and make it a lot simpler. And also note, because you can automate the process, it also eliminates the risk of getting a configuration wrong in one or more devices. Okay, saving and uploading the system database. This is an enhancement to the system management functionality. You saw earlier in the screenshots that we have created a system tree. Now for larger sites, these system trees can obviously become quite large with many DVRs and many cameras. If you ever need to recreate that system tree, it can be quite time-consuming and also prone to errors in case you don't know what the device names were or what the passwords, etc. were. With this Save Upload System Database, you can save the configuration of the TruVision Navigator PC, and then if you need to, say for example, replace the PC because the PC has failed, you've reinstalled the device, you can very quickly recreate the system configuration. So that's the first benefit: get a replacement PC running up and running quickly, or alternately, if you need to have an extra workstation that's an alternative workstation, get that set up quickly as well. And as we said with the configuration of the device, this reduces the probability of mistakes inherent when recreating a system database, and more so with larger systems such as universities or systems where you have multiple petrol stations or multiple retail shops. Okay, proactive health diagnostics and email. you will be able to configure certain rules for device diagnostics. Select and be able to select trigger conditions. For example, having a particular camera or cameras in video loss, or a hard drive within a DVR exceeding a particular temperature. So when these trigger conditions are met, the TruVision Navigator will be able to send an email to one or more users, and then you can configure an email client such as Outlook, etc., to automatically forward these to more users as required, whether these are the service technicians, security managers, or so forth. The key benefit of this functionality is that it enhances the management capability of remote sites. And again, this is particularly important if you have sites with more than a few DVRs. It just automates the process and saves the security manager time of having to manually keep checking on devices. So the security manager can receive the information as it happens and take appropriate action more proactively rather than reactively. Okay, now that you've heard about TruVision Navigator, when will it be released? This software is currently in beta testing. It will be shown at the ISC West Security Show, which is happening this month in the US. So the expected release date is within a few weeks of ISC West. So please stay tuned for more information. Oh, and one of my colleagues has just handed me a sheet to say that I've forgotten a couple of points to mention. So just let me backtrack. With TruVision Navigator version 4, you will also be able to replay local video files with the TruVision Navigator software. Previously, you would need to use the separate GE Nav player application. Now, with the TruVision Navigator version 4, the same application will allow you to both view live and playback from the devices, as well as playback of files that you've extracted locally. And it will also support region of interest for motion detection on the new range of UltraView IP cameras. So not only will you be able to specify the region of interest here, it will also support the region of interest within the latest UltraView IP cameras. Okay, so stay tuned for more information. As we get closer and as we release the software, we will notify that by email. Okay. Would you like to know more? More information, including brochures and data sheets on all of the products currently distributed by Alarm Corp, may be found on our website, www.alarmcorp.com.au. Also, you can go into the utcfs.com.au website, which was formerly gesecurity.com.au. I would encourage you to subscribe to the Alarm Corp Pulse to receive new product information automatically. If you register online with Alarm Corp, you can get full access to our e-commerce platform, and this will allow you to see your own customized price information and also be able to place orders online. And the main benefit of that is that you can do that at any time of the day. You don't need to physically call us during business hours. If you have been out on site and you do need to place an order outside of business hours, you will be able to do that electronically. If you want to know more, please contact your nearest Alarm.com representative. In Queensland, we have Ed Savaris. Ed's email address is ecs@alarmcorp.com.au, and his mobile phone number is given. We have Jeff Rushton in New South Wales at jmr@alarmcorp.com.au, and we have Stephen Dinger in Victoria. He also looks after South Australia and Western Australia, and his email is spd@alarmcorp.com.au. And you can also contact myself, Piotr Lecki, direct. There's my number, and there is my email address, prd@alarmcorp.com.au. So, if you want to know more, contact us, give us a call. We're happy to help. Now, thank you for your time. That concludes the presentation. Now to a couple of extras. If you register with Alarm Corp online during the month of April, any new registrations will receive an additional 10% off your first e-commerce platform purchase. So you can see there a screenshot of our website. go to alarmcorp.com.au and click on Create Account and follow the prompts. Okay, now over to question time. As we shown earlier, if you look at your tab, select the questions section and then type in your question and hit send. Okay, so now I will take your questions. Feel free, don't be shy. Okay. Okay, here we go. First question. Is the software compatible with other brands of DVRs? No. The TruVision Navigator will only support the TruVision line of DVRs as well as the previous generations of GE security DVRs such as DVMRE and SIMDEC and StoreSafe Pro, DVMRE Pro, etc. It will not support third-party DVRs. The next question. What would be involved in upgrading GE Nav 3.1 to version 4? Look, at this stage, I'm not 100% sure. It may involve either just a straight install over the top, or it may involve having to uninstall the previous version first. As soon as I have the detail, I can let you know. Okay, now I said earlier that TruVision Navigator version 4 will also support Windows 7. It will, in 64-bit, it will of course support Windows 7 in 32-bit as well as Windows XP. Okay, next question. In relation to museum search, do I have to pre-select the area that I may want to search as part of the setup, or do I select the area after when I want to search? Okay, you can set up motion detection on the DVR for recording. However, the motion search, the search area can be set independently of the trigger area for recording purposes. So this is something that, even if you had not necessarily selected motion recording previously in your DVR, you should be able to simply define an area that you want to look for movement on. This is a search algorithm that will look for scene change in a particular area. So yes, you will be able to set that up in a post search as opposed to having to pre-configure it in anticipation that you may someday want to search. I hope that that makes sense. Okay, great. Thank you for confirming that you're happy with that answer, and I will take questions for another 5 minutes or so. So please don't hold back. If you obviously if you cannot think of any questions now, you can always email me at a later date and I will get back to you as soon as I can with the right answer. So I know it can be a little bit tough when you're on a webinar. Okay, question, is the software free? Yes. TruVision Navigator, just like the existing version of GE Nav, will be cost-free and it will be license-free. You will, of course, get a copy of the software on a CD when you purchase a TruVision DVR. However, it should also be available for download from the website. So just to recap, there are currently no dongles and no licenses, and there will be no dongles or no licenses. And will the software run on the same PC hardware as the existing version of GE Nav? Yes, the best information I have as of today is that it will require the same PC hardware configuration. Obviously, the only thing might be if you are running Windows 7 in a 64-bit environment. 64-bit environment does mean that you can have more than 4 gigabytes of memory on the system. But as far as CPU speed, I think the current requirements are at least a 2.8 gigahertz CPU with a suitable NVIDIA graphics card. So version 4 will have the same requirements. Okay, great. If there are no more questions, then we will slowly wind it up, and thank you all for attending. I hope this information was useful to you. If you want to see a demonstration of the current version of GE Nav, we can do that for you through our Sydney and Melbourne branches. We can show you the connection to the existing DVRs that we have set up in our demo rooms, and so you can see roughly the connection speed on the various networks. You can see exactly what the system can do. You can see how easy it is to get into a device. We can show you how the devices can be set up, configuring, making changes, and so forth. So if you are in the area, by all means, give either myself or Jeff Rushton a call, and we will gladly give you a demonstration of the system. Or if you're in the area, just drop by the office. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you very much and have a great afternoon. Thank you.